I have a question for you. Have you ever been to the beach and you took one of these carts with you? And I'm not talking about just any beach. I'm talking about the Jersey Shore, where the sand is like a foot deep and you sink into it. And you quickly discover that on the boardwalk and the cement, this thing rolls halfway decent. But once you start touching sand, these front wheels become useless. And then once you're in the deep sand, the back wheels become useless. And you have to drag it backward, and it's essentially just sliding and dragging through the sand like a sled. And then these wheels, they pop off and have to be replaced. They sell balloon tires for this. It's like $80 a pair, but then the thing sits like a race car. You start loading your chairs on this and it does this. And you know, that's after you spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 on this stupid thing. This thing's pretty much worthless. So I have devised a rather elegant solution. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Funhouse. Prepare to watch the crummiest video you've ever seen, maybe. I don't know. I'm in a real big rush. I gotta build this before my vacation. I've decided to turn this hitch cargo carrier into a beach buggy or a beach cart. Eventually it may even be motorized or mechanized. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me give you a quick history lesson. I bought this off a guy used for 50 bucks. And the intention was to make it into a mobility scooter carrier for my mother-in-law. The idea was that I made this ramp here. One side would be hinged with bolts with nylon locking nuts on it. And the other side would have pins to hold it shut. And you could switch the bolts out for the pins to decide which side it hinged off of. And you would lower the ramp, drive the scooter up onto the carrier, and then I was going to make an arm that would hold the ramp straight up on a 90 or whatever, or make it removable for when the scooter was on there. And also, if you had it closed up, you could lock stuff in here and keep it secure, and put regular baggage on top of the ramp and still use it as a regular cargo carrier. The scooter in question was too wide to fit on this. And so I scrapped that idea. My new idea is take the ramp off. I'm going to make sides that hinge up out of this lip in here. And then the ramp, I will flip it around and cut it in half and use that to make the sides for the ends, and that will give you pretty big payload of cargo carrying for when it is on the back of the car or when it's in its beach buggy configuration. And if you want to, everything will fold down into this lip. The ramp will now be hinged the opposite way it was, so it'll be higher. It won't be flush with this anymore, but it'll still be a flat surface here, little gap in the middle, and here, that you can still use it as a regular cargo carrier if you want to. I had these lovely lawnmower tires and rims floating around. Then somebody gave me some old quad rims, and then I found some old quad tires. Put the tires on the rims. They're bald. I wouldn't put them on a quad ever again. But for a beach cart? Come on. That's an 18 inch, and this is a 22 inch. Maybe overkill, maybe just what the doctor ordered. Let's find out. So in a nutshell, the idea is that I have this cargo carrier that hopefully, with all of its pieces intact, can be folded up to sit flush against the back of the vehicle when not in use, or hinged down to be a cargo carrier. It will function as a cargo carrier, but it can also have wheels and axles placed onto it, sides folded out, and turned into a pretty handy dandy beach cart buggy. And I may even put a mobility scooter or Power Wheels motors in it and make it self-propelled with a trigger on the handle. But I'm running on a deadline. I got 2 weeks, not even, of weekends and a little bit of time after work to try and get this done. I already started. I wasn't going to record it because I'm in such a rush, but I'm really trying to make content for you guys. I know I'm not putting videos out as often as I used to now that I got the little one running around. So let me show you what I've done so far. I had this, oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing this on a budget. Like almost everything you're going to see here I already had. I've spent, I don't know, maybe $107, but the rest of this was just stuff I had. I was going to bolt this, but when I made these extra stout hinges, I made them too stout and I would have to cut this away and notch it out. So I'm in a rush. Like I said, I took these studs, I put nuts on them to hold them in place when the angle iron was just like this. And I cut the angle iron so it would swing properly, and I cut it so that when this side is in its place, it'll hinge up without colliding into it or being stuck under it. And with the studs, nut it onto the angle iron, one nut on the inside, one on the outside. I lined everything up, held it against the cargo carrier, and welded it into place. So there's no way to take it apart or fix it without doing what I said with, you know, notching this out and whatnot and drilling all the way through. But I don't care as long as it gets me through vacation. So once I located the two pins, I took the nuts off, got the angle iron up against the side here as close as it would go without, you know, before it collided with my welds. And then I got a measurement for this piece and this piece. I notched them out so that everything sits flush and got it square and made that side. I'm going to repeat the process and do that on this side. Okay, let's see how she folds. Got a clamp. I'm all for clamped. Okay, she needs a little fine tuning. Alright, that's just tacked because I was afraid that might happen. Alright, so I can't have super tight corners or it won't fold up properly. That's okay. I think I'm going to cut a little slot, make this pocket a little deeper, and then I don't have to change anything. I will unfortunately have to take this bolt out and that bolt out and take this away and then dry fit it a bunch of times. Oh well. Sorry guys, I did it again. I did some work when you weren't looking. But let me show you what I've been up to. So I need a steering mechanism for the front of this, and I'm trying to use stuff I have laying around so that this doesn't cost me so much. And once I have proof that it works perfectly, then I wouldn't mind trying again and buying materials and trying to go with aluminum or plastic whenever possible to cut down on the weight. At any rate, got some aluminum diamond plate here, and I got this aluminum box that I had laying around. And what I did was I bought a Lazy Susan bearing set because I couldn't find one that I had laying around. Now that I bought one, I'll find it, I'm sure. I don't know if you can see it in there. So that's good for 400 pounds, but that's for a kitchen cabinet to have like a spinning doodad resting on top of it and to just spin. It's not meant to have lateral strength. So in addition to that, I took a carriage bolt, welded a massive washer to the dome on the top of the carriage bolt, made a hole dead center. This box had a weird cutout in it, so I cut another piece of diamond plate and put it over where the hole was, and got a giant washer and a jam nut on there. And basically that is helping keep everything pressed tight on the bearings so that as I'm towing this, it can't rock and start to bend and work on that flimsy sheet metal that holds the Lazy Susan bearings together. So the bearings help it roll, but this takes away the stress of being pulled by. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate it for you. So that's nice and smooth. Now the game plan is that I'm going to bolt this up underneath. So this is the top. And under here, I'll basically make like an A-frame for the wheels, and each A-frame will have a strut coming back to here. This isn't the shape they're going to be. I'm just trying to give you an example. You'll see better what I'm talking about once I get cracking on it. But yeah, the wheels will be on here. There'll be a handle like a wagon would have that makes it turn. And down the road, maybe a battery and a motor. Now, as far as this thing is concerned, I got my sides done, and they're framed. They fold down. I want to have these corners nice and tight, so I changed this angle, but the hinge bottoms out and they don't close all the way. But I think I can fix that pretty easy. I'm going to try just cutting the slot in the hinge a little deeper so that this can sit in lower. Or if it hits the framework for the side, I'll just have to straighten this out a little bit, and it won't be able to tuck quite down as deep as I want it to, but it'll be good enough. First things first, I'm going to take these bolts out and deepen this groove and see if that gets me where I want to be. I'm out of shielding gas, so I'm welding with flux core wire for the first time. And I thought that I would never be able to weld again because I couldn't really see what I was doing anymore. But now I'm welding wearing my glasses, and it's not beautiful, but at least maybe I can still take on a project and get it done. And you know the old advantage, grinders and paint make me the welder I ain't. I got the top on here. I cut the mesh. I found the best way to cut it was with the old 4-inch grinder and a cutoff wheel. Goes through it like butter. And once I spot welded it at every edge, I sandwiched it between these ribs. So that's one side down, and I capped the front and the back. Now it's got to do the fourth side same way, and of course then I'll hit it with the grinder. These are 18-inch tires, which would put the center at around 9 inches. So I'm going to go 9.5 inches for clearance. Let me explain it to you better. So obviously when this turns, it's going to go under the, we'll call it a wagon, just for the sake of having something to call it. And the tires need to clear that. So by going 9.5 inches off of this, that's giving me a 1/2 inch of clearance here. But there's also the Lazy Susan bearings and this plate of aluminum. And what I'm probably going to do is put bolts coming up through this aluminum with a nut on the back, and then that will go through the bottom of the cargo carrier, soon to be wagon, and get like a wing nut on it. So there's going to be 3 on each side, but only one's going to get a wing nut. The other 2 are just going to kind of be studs. It'll make more sense when you see it coming together. But long story short, if I have clearance to here, plus I got another 3/4 of an inch, I should have like 1.25 inches of clearance, which ought to do the trick even when we're turning. I don't know. Time will tell. If I have to shim it up, I can shim it up. The game plan is to use the holes that are here, although I may do things differently. I'm not sure. Use the holes that are here, come up 9.5 inches, stagger my seam, and have a piece going this way 4 inches. That will accept, these are temporary, a heavier dutier version of this. Possibly I'll drill a hole through this and the axle, and it'll just have a pin that goes up and through it to keep it in place when I put it together. And then there'll be a strut going from the 4-inch piece down to here. Now, I can put this together with bolts and wing nuts and reuse holes that are already drilled. But this is aluminum. It's easy to drill. I think what I might do instead is I might drill holes this way and make it so that this folds down and this folds down. So all you got to take apart is the wheels and the axle from off of this. In the back, there's going to be a crossbar here that keeps them from being able to move left to right. And then their triangular design this way will keep them from being able to move forward or backward. Yeah, you know what? I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, it's upside down right now, but this is going to be the steering mechanism. And just like the sides of the cargo carrier fold down, this folds down, but eventually it's going to fold up like that. Can't get it to stay. And the other one will fold up like that. And there'll be a couple little legs that go from that hole to here to keep it there. And then these go here and hold the axle with one regular bolt and one thumb screw. Wing nut. And then when you're done, you take the axle and the wheels off of here and fold that down, and it folds nice and flat. Alright, so in case what I was saying wasn't making any sense, here we go. Got my front end on with my steering. I got some struts here. You can take these knobs off, and then this will fold out of the way. I'll just show you. Put it right back on so it doesn't get lost. Those are carriage bolts that I pounded into the aluminum, so they're semi-fixed. Anyway, right now that goes like that. This goes like this. It's not folding flat. But what I think I'm going to do is cut a little bit out of this to make it a little skinnier. And then I will make hinges like a ladder has where the hinge folds, but it has a stopper so it can't turn inside out, and this will be a hinged strut. But vacation's right around the corner. I don't really have time to produce custom-made parts for every inch of this. I still have a lot more custom-made parts I have to produce, so I'm not looking for any extra work. Right now I'll settle for good enough, or I'll settle for this works, and this works. I made some locating pins in the corners like I said I would. Let me show you what you got here. I'll probably grind these down a little lower so that they're flush and they don't stick up inside. But I got 4 locating pins, and then I got 2 longer pins where I put these washers and these thumb screws. Again, this is all stuff I had laying around. These washers are made out of a 30-gallon plastic drum and a hole saw. These knobs I had laying around. These bolts I rescued out of a dumpster. So it's still costing me hundreds of dollars to build this because I had to buy welding materials and hubs and paint and various other odds and ends, but I'm also saving a fortune. Pulling it with my one finger of my bad hand. Sure steers nice. It's trying to run me over going down this hill. Hopefully it rolls this nice in sand. Sorry guys, vacation came and went. I did not have time to shoot any video. In fact, on the day we were leaving for vacation, we left at Jake's bedtime so he would sleep for the trip. The day we were leaving, I was finishing this. My father-in-law and brother-in-law came over and helped me. They were painting stuff as soon as I would weld it and hand it to them, and they would hit it with the grinding wheel and paint it. At any rate, so here's my folding structure. I made a tongue for the handle. Had a piece of stainless steel tubing with a S curve to it. Drilled a hole in it. Bolted it onto the end of here. There's a through bolt with a piece of PVC pipe so that you don't get burned when you touch the handle after it's been sitting in the sun all day. There's the locating pins, and there's the bolts that have the thumb nuts that go on there with the washers. What did I learn? I learned that these are too small and they bend. So this is 1/4 inch. I'm going to upgrade it. It's going to be 3/8. I'm going to replace these locating pins with 3/8 bolts. And drill the holes a little bit bigger. I didn't have time to drill out the hubs and put bearings in them, so I just put these spacers on there. There's a washer, and the hub went on here, and I had a few metal shims that went in there. This old piece of gas pipe running through there with these clamps that I showed you. And I had a couple of chunks of old shopping cart that I used to make the back axle assembly. It worked out pretty good. I trimmed them to the right height, welded them to this angle iron. These also have locating pins that I'm going to replace with 1/4 inch. 3/8. And this time the axle went over. This is upside down. The axle went over the metalwork because it was a 22-inch wheel, and it came out to be level. Same thing. You tighten this nut up, and then you snug it with the wing nut. Spacer, a couple washers, hubs were shimmed. no grease. It squeaked and squawked. There's the you gotta be kidding me, man. I got squeaky toys, I got horns going off with alarms. Here's the braces that kept it square. And let me see if I can show you. I had welded this piece of angle iron on and drilled it and welded a nut onto it, and that's what the thumb screw attached to hold that up. And you can see that they primed it. I'm going to have to go over it again because we ran low, so we didn't get the bottom. And I'm going to finish priming it and throw a coat of paint on it. But it performed really well. It rolled incredibly easy. Weighs a ton, but gets the job done. And I think now I'm going to come up with a lighter version of it. In the interest of speed and simplicity, I ordered these pins. They have a little spring-loaded ball bearing, so they can't pop out. And I made these little tabs. And what holds it together is these little studs that are sticking out here. There's one here and one here. You line them up with these holes. And once that's lined up, that's pretty much locked in place. When you combine it with this tab and this pin, and you do it on both sides, what you get is a pretty sturdy, not too wobbly setup. So that worked out well. I had all these crazy ideas, and I thought I was going to have like a sliding bolt lock that was going to slide through, and then a pin was going to go in, or luggage locks, all kinds of different ideas. And then I went with the good old KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. And there you have it. These fold down nicely, unfold nicely, makes a good sized basket. And even if this thing never turns into a cart again, I do like having these sides. I can fold it down and put stuff on the top if it's in bins or containers, or I can put the basket up and put loose items in there. Throw a blanket over it, bungee or ratchet strap it down. It's not going anywhere. Oh yeah, I never told you about these rings. This was for when there was a mobility scooter on there. You could put a bike lock around the scooter and through these. There's one in the front and one in the back. All right, I'll show you some pictures of it completed and being used, but it worked out great. Thanks for watching.